With us, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers, and I begin with the Punch newspaper. The major story here says, Workers' Day, Labour laments rising food prices, fuel crisis. Reps, NLC, NBA, students reject electricity tariff hike, lament rising inflation. Queues worsen gridlock, commuters stranded, more vessels discharge PMS. And pregnant woman, 8 others injured in Lagos gas explosion. A really sad story there. And those are the pictures depicting remnants of what happened from that incident. Now to 100 billion naira debt, Ipman threatens closure of 30,000 filling stations. 155 stranded Nigerians repatriated from Libya. And at the top corner, federal government raises salaries of military, police, others. That's some good news for those concerned. Interpol pursues extradition of Binance chief from Kenya. You can get more details of these stories from the Punch newspaper. To this Nigeria newspaper now, still talking about the May Day celebration. A sad day as workers groan under hardship. Fuel, food, electricity crisis compound poor wages. Federal government approves 35% increase for civil servants. Petrol hits 1,000 naira a litre in parts of Lagos. Commuters weep. Marketers threaten to withdraw services over alleged 200 billion naira debt. And the FCT minister reinforces partnership with Japanese agency. All right, EFCC grills 13 suspected oil thieves in Lagos. Nigeria's value-added tax collection lowest in Africa. Speaker of the House of Reps saying that. Senators temporize over seating arrangements at the Red Chamber. Akpabio says Senate ready to solve nation's problems. All right, details on this Nigerian newspaper. To the Vanguard newspaper now, still talking about May Day celebration. Federal government approves pay rise for workers as labor leaders lament hardship. Asks workers to prepare for struggles ahead. Nigerian workers have never had it so bad. That's Atiku Abubakar saying there. Says citizens subsidizing corruption inefficiencies of federal government. Kalu applauds workers' commitment to national development. And federal government declares today public holiday. Federal government putting in place measures to mitigate pains of policies. That's what the All Progressives Congress is saying. And to another story here, fuel scarcity, 8 vessels discharge over 300 million litres at Akpakpa, other ports. Some stories you find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And to the First News newspaper, boosting morale, federal government approves increase for civil servants, delivering early workers' day cheer. And petrol marketers threaten fuel supply disruption amid 200 billion naira debt crisis. And Reps direct NEC, that's the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, to halt implementation of new electricity tariff, summon petroleum minister over lingering fuel scarcity. And Northern Governors Forum confronts crisis. Region tops global rankings for out-of-school children. Over 10 million of them. Now, Peter Obi urges Tinubu to halt Lagos-Calabar Highway project to prevent job losses. Nigerian workers going through unprecedented hardship, Atiku Abubakar says in May Day message. Some stories you find on the front page of the First News newspaper. To the Daily Independent now, talking about salary increment and that federal government approves a 35% salary increase for civil servants. And another story there, lingering impact of fuel subsidy cut reveals federal government's ineptitude. That's what Atiku Abubakar has said. Now, Reps asks NEC to halt new electricity tariff hike. That's the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. NBA gives federal government 7 days to reverse tariff hike. Speaker decries significant inefficiencies in tax system. Senate spokesman dismisses bickering reports over seating arrangements. Federal government to repatriate over 6,000 Nigerian refugees from Chad, Cameroon. And these are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Daily Independent. To the Nation newspaper. Major story here, public servants, military, police get 35% consolidated pay rise. Workers get federal government's Mayday gift. Labour to demand quick action on minimum wage. And reps invite Minister over lingering petrol scarcity, NNPCL, Meman. It will be over soon. Paid 200 billion naira claim, says Ipman. Now, EFCC to arraign Emefiele, May the 15th on 3-count amended charge. Expedite action on East-West Road, South-South. Governor said federal government. Tinubu to lead 25 years of democracy walk on May the 29th. North governors renew battle to end out-of-school children menace. All right, those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Theophilus?
All right, on my end, the Daily Trust says, May Day, NLC rejects 35% pay rise, insists on living wage. Committee yet to submit report on minimum wage is worst moment for workers, says Atiku. Reps NBA students reject electricity tariff hike. Kidnappings, out-of-school children worry northern governors. Ipman threatens shutdown over 200 billion naira claims. Niger ex-president is so far behind my dad's ouster, says Bazoum's daughter. And that's in the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. New Telegraph says May Day, federal government increases salaries, pensions for civil servants by 25 to 30%. Backdates payment to January. ASU demands better welfare for Nigerian workers. Asks federal government to halt brain drain in varsities. Kalo commends workers' commitment to national development. Nigerians subsidizing corruption, inefficiencies in government, says Atiku. Dramas, legislators clash over sitting arrangements. Insecurity, reps seek dedicated fund for school safety. Workers' Day, federal government declares public holiday today. Why Borno didn't sack 10,566 unqualified teachers. Zulum approves 1 billion naira for teacher training. Electricity tariff hike, NBA to institute legal action against the federal government. NNPC retail fuel scarcity will ease in Lagos weekend. That's in the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. Salient Times says 200 billion naira debt. Petrol marketers threaten withdrawal of services amid fuel scarcity. Reps invite petroleum minister over petrol scarcity. Nance plans nationwide protest over fuel scarcity. Police arrest 3 suspects who allegedly robbed macheted DPO in Lagos. EFCC arraigns Kwara ex-finance commissioner over 1.22 billion naira money laundering. And that's in the Salient Times newspaper this morning. Nigerian News Direct says, fuel scarcity. Meman, of course, that's the major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria, confirms availability of 300 million liters of petrol, strives to end delivery glitch. As reps summon petroleum minister, other stakeholders over rising petrol prices. Queues will disappear by Wednesday, says NNPC. Nance to embark on nationwide protest on May the 7th over fuel scarcity, electricity crisis. Lagos Calabar Highway is a misplaced priority. Fix 50 abandoned highways, OB urges federal government. The Business Times says electricity tariff hike, NBA threatens lawsuit against federal government. Discos gives government 7-day ultimatum to reverse to old electricity tariff or face lawsuit. Says hike in electricity tariff by almost 300% unreasonable, insensitive. Minister of Power has failed Nigerians. I expect rich nations to meet African donation requests, says World Bank President. Says if Africa develops well, Africa has a lot to offer the world. Platform Times says investigation 1, disquiet in OOU as Ogun government fails to constitute visitation panel 15 years after. Federal government approves salary increase for civil servants. Atiku accuses government of subsidizing corruption, inefficiencies, alleged terrorism. Courts to decide Mietiala president May 30th. Peace Corps bill passes first reading in Senate again. Nature News says, renewed hope cities. Federal government plans 6,000 housing units across 6 zones. Nasarawa governor sets pace, issues CFO for 24.6 hectares in Karu. Nigerian government trains 2,000 special marshals to combat illegal mining. Bauchi government embarks on subsea projects. Fact check, is urine the best skincare treatment? Of course, that's in Nature News newspaper this morning. Sporting life, we made a few mistakes. Of course, that's according to Finidi George. Leverkusen slapped £55 million price tag on Boniface. Nantes confirms Simon out of the season. And of course, you see this and many more headlines in the Sporting Life newspaper this morning. Let's move to Business Day. Petrol crisis mute workers' day as scarcity sting lingers. Motorists, commuters, businesses suffer. Nigerian workers have never had it so bad. Old problems haunt 2024 oil bid round. 5 out of 60 marginal licenses in use. That's in Business Day this morning. We move to The Guardian, and of course, that's the last newspaper with me this morning. Endless wait for living wage. Inflation, naira depreciation plunge Nigerians to lowest wage earners. Oil marketers blame NNPC threat to short outlets. Over 200 billion naira debt. Uzodinma appoints self for a commissioner for lands. That's in The Guardian newspaper this morning.
Interesting. What's the story dominating the papers this morning has to do
NLC,
with
fuel scarcity.
not just that, the increment.
Yeah.
This wage increment, 35% consolidated pay rise, will come as music to the ears of a majority of Nigerian workers. But how about others who are not federal government workers, who are in other sectors? How are they covered in this move by the government to increase wages? Because they all, or we all, because we are workers as well, we all go to the same market as it is. Are we also going to ensure that they get to benefit somewhat from increments, or are they going to, just perhaps look into the direction of these businesses having to do what is necessary for their workers?
Of course, like you said, 35% is music to the ears of workers, though. But you see that NLC is rejecting a 35% increment. But also should commend some state governors who have increased the minimum wage for workers. Lagos State, Edo State, and some other states have increased their minimum wage for their workers just to cushion the effects of the economy on the welfare of workers. So it's also quite important that 35% increase, we hope that it's not subsumed or it's not eaten up by more increases.
Well, we know the ripple effect of all of these increments, inflation, market prices in